Hey there, freaks and sickos. Welcome to my campaign, or something. You might be wondering why the room looks like this. Like there's something on fire on the ceiling. And that's because, uh, dark magic. Dark magic. I have informed the workplace, as is company policy at the company I work at, that I am, in fact, the devil incarnate. It is a thing I have to do as a spawn of Satan, and I did it in the way that is prescribed by the Society of Minnesota. I did that by saying out loud on the production floor that, yeah, I'm not really the devil incarnate. I'm actually just a religious realist. And so, because of that, I am completely immune from any and all mishaps that are the unfortunate and unintentional outcome of being a spawn of the devil that really just wants to be a good person. I think there are a lot of men out there who know what that feels like. But yes, it is I, Clarke Macbeth, clear as the last name, actual spawn of the actual devil. There's many of us, actually, but I just wanna make the world a better place, and my family has given me a lot of grief for wanting to do that. They've been as supportive as they could be, but I've faced so many very, very big, very, very heavy, and very beyond all of our control obstacles. Even a demon family just cannot with the way the world is right now. So I have taken it upon myself to watch cartoons. What you're looking at behind me on your screen is a cartoon that is 20 years old, and Disney doesn't really care about it anymore. And yet it is the very pinnacle of animated comedy. You want to know why I know that Disney doesn't care about this cartoon at all? It's on the Internet Archive. Like, you can download this. But what does that have to do with men and male loneliness? Well, for starters, I am alone in my bedroom in a house that isn't mine because I live with my mother. And I am watching a 20-year-old cartoon that only lasted for one season. And Disney had a lot of those at the time, in 2005. At the time, Disney was more focused on its live-action series, like That's So Raven, and Phil of the Future. That was still going. I remember that show came out. I lived in Cheyenne, Wyoming, in peak Wyoming. Like, this was at a time where people just did not care. There was total apathy about everything for a lot of reasons. But what is this? What is this? There's a buff guy running away from chickens. What is this show? Why did Disney make it? And why does Disney not care anymore? If you go on the Internet Archive and make it easier to torrent. It's Dave the Barbarian. Dave is the perfect man because he knows who he is and doesn't feel any pressure from anyone in the world around him to be any different than this. And he carries this attitude with confidence and pride. This is what men are supposed to be. okay? And this show is the funniest show you are ever going to watch, especially if you're someone who watches the kind of content that is not good for men to watch. The problem with bro podcasting and this alpha male stuff, the belief that there is some kind of hierarchy of how men are supposed to act, is that it's designed to try and get you to slam into a certain mold. But that's not how men are supposed to behave. Men are supposed to define themselves and forge their own journey as they see fit. The perfect man does not feign some ideal image, does not feign perfection, does not try and hide the fact that they're afraid of chickens running towards them. They're just okay with the world seeing that. And if it's not chickens, it's something else. There's something that makes every man on this entire earth, especially the current president of the United States, want to run away and just not deal with it. But Dave was able to deal with it in his own way and came out the hero. Dave does everything that bro podcasters would tell a man not to do, and just looks better, is fun to watch and look at. And there are plenty of people out there that would want to date Dave, including an evil princess. That happened in the show. Dave works with his family. Dave works with a magical wizard who is way more powerful just from that than Dave would ever be, but looks like you would expect a wizard to look, unless you're racist. And, you know, he works with women. There are women in his family that are at least as strong as him. But no matter how wacky Udragoth Spain gets, he's still Dave. And he is okay with being Dave. He doesn't have to fit a mold. He gets scolded all the time by his own weapon for knitting. But he's just fine with that. And you know what? To be honest with myself, as a spawn of the devil, yes, an actual spawn, using dark magic to make the lighting look like this, and hiding from the sun, I want to be more like Dave. People give me shit all the time in public. They are scared of me because, you know what, I don't really want to deal with people. And when I look anxious, I don't know why, a lot of people just think I'm flirting with them for some reason, when I really just don't want to look. I just want to get bagels at Aldi. Getting bagels at Aldi seems like an adventure to me. And it would seem like an adventure to this family in this cartoon. Despite all of his faults and all of the challenges Dave has to face, one thing is abundantly clear to anyone that looks at him, especially women. Dave is a happy man. He doesn't have to hide his misery because he doesn't have that much of it. All that really makes Dave afraid is being in too much danger, and that's it. He's still buff. He's still Dave. He's still strong. He just doesn't want to be that all the time. Most of the time, even. So you know what? From now on, I'm going to be more like Dave. I mean, I don't really need to add anything to hide when I look like this. I'm just going to let it show and fly. I'm just going to let it happen. I don't care if I'm running away from chickens. I don't care if I have an evil princess girlfriend who looks like a woman but has something down here that kind of looks like mine. Okay? I don't care what the party over country, Supreme Kangaroo Court, has to say about what makes a man or a woman a woman. You don't need to check that part. You can already tell that Dave is a man throughout the entire series. You can tell that Candy and Fang are women, and they're proud and confident of it. You can tell that the wizard is a wizard just by looking at him. Okay? And I know there's so many people on the internet that feign for clicks and shares otherwise to everyone. But you know what? Y'all look crazy. Y'all look insane. Did I mention I'm from Georgia? That really helps with the whole devil thing. Anyway, what men need to do, what women need to do, what NBs need to do, what everyone needs to do in this country is stop trying to fit some kind of prescriptive mold. You know what? If you were truly brave, you would be like Dave. You would even be willing to give up your parents' money just to be happy with who you are. Not that Dave ever had to do anything like that. He passed his exam in this particular episode, and it was all because of, well, I'm not going to spoil the end of this. This is a cartoon. I mean, the middle, you don't watch, I don't know, it's just like with cartoons, with 15-minute episodes, you don't want to spoil the end. But I think with movies, it's okay, because a lot of movies now, it's more about the middle than the end anymore. You kind of can tell that most movies end the same way anyway. But Dave passed this in a way that is not what broke podcasters would approve of, but you know what? Dave is okay with that. Dave takes pride in it anyway. He's still a barbarian, a true barbarian, and the show keeps going for one very long season. It went from 2004 to 2005. And again, this is when Disney was focusing more on live action. They had Kim Possible as the cartoon to have multiple seasons of. Disney Channel had that system going. And then as far as other cartoons, they just had brief comedies that were for one season, 2 seasons. You know, that's kind of what Disney was at the time. It's not like Disney was more focused on animation like they are now and had multiple seasons of epic tales and making being oneself the most serious thing ever. Dave the Barbarian just had what it had. And the writers and I believe the voice actors is what really prevented this from having multiple seasons, but this is peak Disney animation. And I encourage everyone to watch it. Especially if you think my take is wrong, and I would very much like to know why. That's the secret that Andrew Tate is charging you way too much money for, and going back and forth between good advice and bad advice over. Like, I just spoiled everything. Like South Park spoiled Scientology. If you're just your best, most confident self, then people around you are going to be way more attracted to you. All of them. And you're way more likely to get a girlfriend than try and fit someone else's mold. Which, Andrew Tate will at the same time tell you to do and not to do, all while taking anything that fits his personal narrative and grift, while discarding the rest. Like, there's this often cited study about the dangers of addiction to adult-only content, which this is not. This is TVG at its funniest ever. But like adult-only content on the internet, there's studies that say here's why it's dangerous if you're addicted to it. But most of us, it's like at most a quick wank every few nights. That's not an addiction. That's the kind of deception that these bro podcasters make so much money off of. When Dave deserves all of that more than they ever have and ever will. And if that leaves them saying bejabbers, wonderful. That's the whole idea. And I hope you will be left saying bejabbers too when you're done watching this series. I have a link to it in the description. I hope that maybe someday Disney will notice the attention that this show deserves and might add on to it in a way that is good, that gives a positive reception to critics, because it's just as apathetic as it was back then about everything. And as always, subscribe if you like, and share if you care.